Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight, Chapter 152, Shroud. Esteemed opinion, it must certainly look like it. Desert Light said. He stood across from Rainbow Dash and Cold Canner as he leaned over the table in the middle of the shack and examined the excavator skeleton up close. Then the sense of structural fractures in the limbs of he would be the Earthplanet signaler from 10 years ago. He pointed the smooth ends of the leg bones. Discreet analysis. These show signs of exposure to extreme heat. Be it elemental or accidental, his body was exposed to extreme temperature, to the point that it undoubtedly amputated his rear legs.
You can tell all that?
Rainbow remarked with a suspicious squint.
I mean, no offense and all, but the skeleton is pretty dang old. What if, I don't know, the Earth Pony was born without fully developed legs, and this is all we got for his remains?
Desert Light frowned. Obligatory defense. I who be Darktinian citizens studying forensics and unicorn anatomy as a minor before enrolling into the National Guard. If the state of the skeleton is a matter of natural deformity, the entire belly of leg bones would be different. What's more, he leaned towards the upper half of the equine structure and pointed at the forelimbs. While there are no signs of extreme stress on the rear legs, the front hooves show extreme wear and tear, as if a great deal of weight and labor was exerted on them.
He may be full of himself, but the kid's bright,
Cold Canner remarked. He looked at Rainbow Dash, then over at Desert Light.
This is mean what I think it means.
Desert Light nodded gravely. Solemn confession. Whatever had injured this poor soul, it did not kill him. I believe they used his forelimbs to drag his sundered self to the edge of the canyon.
Whoa, hang on a sec.
Rainbow raised a hoof, her face blank.
You mean to tell me that this poor sap someone got burnt in half, and then crawled halfway across the desert to give CC here and the guard before you a signal?
Desert Light merely shrugged. Obligatory digression. I heard be a learned pony of science cannot pretend to know anything save for what the evidence suggests to me. He brushed his way past Rainbow Dash and made for the front entrance of the shack. If you who be an outsider would excuse me, I have a patrol to perform. Good industry be upon you. And he was gone. Rainbow leaned against the wall, rubbing a hoof over her chin and gazing forlornly at the skeleton. Cold Canner's shuffling hooves brought him limply across the room as he drew a dark sheet over the dusty bones. After a spell, he took a deep breath and murmured her way.
You said he has some things on him?
She looked at him, blinked, then snapped out of it.
Oh, yeah, but not much to go on.
You're an old stallion. Rainbow Dash shuddered.
He had a bunch of old journal pages, too burnt to read well, a leather saddlebag, charred at the edges, and, some sort of medallion.
Let me guess, also burnt. Rainbow Dash gulped.
Yeah.
Cold Canner turned to look at her.
Could I see it?
She turned towards the side table, pulled the coin out of the bag, and flipped it towards him. Cold Canner caught it in a field of magic. He calmly floated the thing before him in a telekinetic grip. His eyes narrowed. I've seen this symbol before, the one with the circle and the curves. I do recall seeing it and the belongings of the haggard earth ponies who made it on the west side of the ravine decades ago. He turned it around again. I do not recognize the buildings in the engraving though. It looks almost like Pegasus architecture, strangely enough. And the Pegasi, as far as history is concerned, based their architecture off alicorns of ancient times.
Yeah, well, you can build a lot of big, snazzy buildings with clouds.
Rainbow Dash said with a light smirk.
One thing's for sure. What's that?
The coin is old.
How old?
Really old. Cold Canner emphasized with a grunt. I may have lost the funky Darktinian speech, but I always have a certain skill metallurgy in my blood. Comes with the horn, you see.
Righto.
This couldn't possibly have been minted in recent times.
Like, how long ago were we talking? Decades? 50 years?
Try centuries, Philly. Cole Kenner gazed up at her. Now, what pony in their right mind would be carrying this around as a means of practical currency in our day? He twirls the medallion one last time in his magical grip. No, I suspect the reason a pony would possess something this old would be if it was looted from some place.
You think that Earth pony who died on the ridge was a robber?
You're still not getting it. This obviously held a great deal of meaning to his culture, or whatever may have become of it. He tossed the coin back to Rainbow Dash. If anything, it's a time capsule. Rainbow cut it in two hooves.
So, he was delivering a message?
One that never got across the cannon.
Until now.
Rainbow stared at the sustained engraving.
But what was he trying to tell you guys?
I think it speaks for itself. Cole Kenner murmured, pointing. Whatever is left of society, it's in ashes. Perhaps from the same thing that burned half of him to a crisp.
What kind of determination would it take to endure so much pain and agony to reach the cannon's edge?
What else? Cole Kenner's eyes were narrow. It's a warning. Rainbow Dash looked up at him. He was slowly shaking his head. Don't do it, kid. Don't cross the ravine. Don't go into those lands. She took a deep breath and placed the coin back on the table.
Look, I know you're used to mining this post and believing it's the end of the world and all.
That's my job. I'm telling you as a pony, a fellow spirit. You're only asking for trouble.
Rainbow Dash chuckled dryly, running a hoof through her mane. If I never wanted trouble from life, I would have never set out for the east to begin with.
That's just what I don't understand.
He shuffled a few steps towards her.
What's so important a destination that necessitates you flying in a straight line, no matter what unknown dangers lie in wait?
Rainbow's eyebrows rose. I didn't tell you yet?
He slowly shook his head. She cleared her throat and shuffled where she stood.
The Midnight Armory.
She eventually said, with a glint of pride in her ruby eyes. His eyes blinked. He sat down on his haunches as he exhaled. The dark side of the world.
So you know about it.
I know that you only kill yourself trying to get to it, Philly.
No, you don't,
she said calmly, shaking her head with a soft expression.
How could you possibly know that?
Kid, the odds of you even crossing the edge of the world to reach the dark side is...
That's the funny thing about odds.
She paced towards him, scraping the wood floor with her hooves.
Limits, barriers, barricades, all that sort of stuff.
She strolled limply around the table, her eyes gazing at the form beneath the somber shroud.
They only exist when we let them stop us. You think it stopped this dude?
She pressed a hoof over the edge of the blanket, so to cover up an exposed length of bone.
I'm not one to brag, but I just came from a place that had a huge wall. And if I let that wall stand in the way of things I needed to do, a lot of ponies would be in a bad place right now.
You... He narrowed his eyes on her. You speak of New Ring. She kept pacing and talking.
I don't know how long it will take me to get to the Midnight Armory, or just what crap I might run into along the way. As much as I care, that hardly matters, cause it's neither here nor there. Now this crazy desert is staring at me, and I don't like the look on its ugly face.
She smirked at Cole Kenner and came to a stop.
So I intend to force it to blink.
Cole Kenner's nostrils flared. You're mad.
No, I'm alive,
she said, pacing back and forth in front of the door of the shack.
And, unlike some ponies, I think the best living can be done when on the move. Cause the only excuse I have for not going any further is when my body refuses to move. Until then, fire or no fire, ashes or no ash, I'm going to see what that landscape to the east has in store for me. Cause at this point, I'm not sure I can live proudly myself if I let such a mystery go to waste. What's the point of crossing the ends of the earth if I know nothing about it, you feel me?
There are more ways to live than dangerously, Philly.
God has helped me if I ever settle for any one of those boring reasons.
She paused at the door and winked at him.
And don't pretend that there isn't a curious bone inside your body either.
She curtsied apologetically towards the shrouded figure upon the table.
Present company excluded.
You know. Cole kinda ran a hood through his gray mane as he murmured aloud. There could possibly be a way for you to make the next leg of your journey an advantage for the likes of Desert Light and myself.
Oh, how's that?
He looked fixedly at her. Tell me, Pegasus, have you ever utilized the Sunstone before? Her eyes briefly crossed.
But